Yo, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to the Third Fleet podcast. Hey, that's right. I've been given the opportunity to intro this today. This is a great honor. Thank you for having me, guys.
How you doing, Arekkz? Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to come over to the Third Fleet podcast. I've been hyping everybody up about this was going to be a very special episode. And then last night, on top of everything, we get a new trailer. It's just the hype is through the roof. Gaijin, what'd you think about the new stuff that we saw?
Last night, you say. You got to remember, I'm in Japan, so that was this morning.
Right. Always destroying sleep schedules. Either I go to bed super late or I have to wake up super early. Arekkz, on the other hand, you told me that you wake up every single day at 6 a.m. How do you even do that?
Hey, I'm just a morning person. I'm like, this is the thing. I feel like I'm really bad. This is why when I said yesterday with the Nintendo Direct, I was like, it's at 10 p.m. and people are like, that's not even late. I'm like, I'm in bed at 10. This is I go to bed at 10. I wake up at 6. I get my 8 hours of sleep. That's just how I function. But no, I love mornings because the nice thing about mornings is you get up. It's a while before people start to just like start messaging and pinging and just like that's my quiet time. I get stuff done in the morning.
Nice.
That is very
much respect.
Very good.
I've been struggling trying to get 8 hours of sleep a night, and is it tough?
It definitely is. Like it's especially kind of in the in the sort of the way that we consume media, what with like phones and screens and stuff. It really what with like blue light exposure, it's so hard to actually get like full. I mean, I'm probably more like 7 hours by the time I've fallen asleep. But yeah, unless you can actually kind of cut off devices for a good while beforehand, it's quite hard to really get into that sleep.
Sleeping is indeed challenging. So usually we tend to start the show by talking about anything that we've been playing recently. Arekkz, I'm going to give you the honor to get us started. What have you been playing as of late?
So I finally jumped back into something the other day because I honestly, after the Rise demo, I haven't really been playing much. I'm in this kind of like gaming limbo where I'm just like, I kind of just want Rise to come out. But I finally jumped back into Nioh 2, right? But specifically, here's the thing, because I love any of these sort of like, Soul-style games, but they always come out at a time when there's other stuff I have to cover, so I can never actually play them as much as I want to. But I'm actually playing Nioh 2 100% in co-op, and the co-op in it is fantastic. Like it's funny because I always just assumed it was like the previous Souls game where like you invite someone in and then like if they die they get kicked out. And it's a bit of a ball ache to try and sort out. But Expedition Mode Nioh 2 is just fantastic. I'm just playing the whole game and like I know some people will be like, well, it's not as challenging, but just playing it with your mates is just so much fun.
It's one of those things where I think a lot of people over-focus on the challenge. It has to be something that comes from the players and not necessarily from the games. It's like if some people will say, "Oh, if you play Nioh 2 in co-op, it's not the same experience to play in single player." Yeah, it's not, but it's still a lot of fun. Like I've played sections of Nioh 2. No, actually not Nioh 2, just Nioh 1 in co-op. Nioh 2 is much better with that stuff. But I've played sections with friends and I thought they were amazing. So yeah, that's a ton of fun. How about you, Gaijin? What have you been working on as of late?
Monster Hunter World Iceborn. That's what I've been playing with Yuna. We've been doing our full. We started playing like what was it? 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, and we're already 110 hours in.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's crazy, but we're all the way up to the point now. We're at Master Rank 55. We're just waiting to get to 70 so we can fight the Silver, Gold, and Brute. And once we do that, then I think we've done pretty much everything we want to do before Rise comes out, but we've had a really good time.
Yeah. I myself, I resonate so much with what you said, Arekkz, about just kind of being in this limbo, because I started this year and I was like, man, I really want to play Persona 5. I haven't touched it because you know that Persona 5 is one of those games that you either play it and you play the full, I believe with Royal, it's like 150 hours, and play nothing else in between, or otherwise you're not going to finish it. Because I did like 50 hours on the first one, and then I fell off of it because I was playing more Monster Hunter for something or for something else, and then eventually I just stopped playing. So I'm kind of in that limbo as well, but I'm filling up the few time slots that I do have with Final Fantasy XIV. Because I am super hyped for the expansion that is coming at the end of the year. I can't, at the end of the year, no, in fall. It's not winter, it's fall. But that is one of those games that is really special because of the story that it has. But other than that, I'm basically just waiting on Rise as well. That's kind of like where I fall.
You know what I love is I'm just imagining the face right now of the person listening to this episode right coming off of that like huge awesome trailer. They're like, guys, we get it. You're playing other stuff. Move on. Come on, talk about Monster Hunter.
Yeah, there's pretty much just
we just we stylishly ignore it and be like, okay, well maybe we'll talk about Monster Hunter next time.
Yeah, we'll talk about Monster Hunter in a bit.
There was a new trailer.
I think there was. Maybe it was at 10 p.m. last
Some new
night,
stuff.
UK time, something like that. But so I wanted to ask you, Arekkz, which one was your first Monster Hunter?
Freedom
Before we get into
Second.
things.
Monster Hunter Freedom Second on PSP. I walked into my local game store and there was basically Tigrex on the cover. And back then, like my purchasing decision was the box art looks cool. The 3 screenshots in the back look cool. And I phoned my friend at the time because it was on buy one get one free. And I was like, "Yo, have you heard of this game before?" He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty big in Japan." I was like, "All right, I'll pick it." I was like, "I'll buy one get one free. We'll play it together." And that was kind of where it began. Although I'll be honest, because
Second Freedom,
Freedom Second it started with, but that was when, because I knew nothing about the game back then. So obviously I started to play it, and prior to that, anything I'd fought was like, oh, this has got a health bar. So I'm there fighting Yankutku with my dual blades for about 40 minutes, and I'm like, why is this chicken not dead? And then I was like, you know what? I don't like this game, so I'll put it down for a little while. And then
wow, yeah, you're the exact same.
yeah. And it was then when I then came back because it was kind of coming up to, they were like, I then saw the announcement for Freedom Unite. It was coming up to that, so I was like, all right, let me give this game another try because I really want to sort of like understand it. And then it started to click. I switched, believe it or not, from the thing that got me past Kutku was switching from dual blades to greatsword because I could stand underneath it and just swing up and down. I became a greatsword main for basically half of Unite.
You know what I find hilarious is my story mirrors yours in that I started with the dual blades and I was hitting Arzuros for 40 minutes and it didn't die. And I said I was going to quit the game. And I put it down, and I came back, and that's when I figured out you had to actually upgrade your initial weapon. It actually isn't good for hunting, and that's when I found the lance.
Oh, yeah. For me, because I swapped from because I was once I cleared Kutku, I was good for a while until I fought Tigrex, and I was like, I can't fight this guy with a greatsword. And then I switched to back in Freedom Unite, Freedom Second. Basically, everything had like it felt like everything had a secret weakness to thunder because the Kirin Thunder Sword just destroyed anything. Like, forget elemental weaknesses, just use this sword, everything dies. So I just used that, and then suddenly I got through. But that was so that was my beginnings. So PSP days.
Senpai.
So yeah, Arekkz is basically our senpai, is what we're getting at over here. Because that is actually second generation, right? Freedom 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be Monster Hunter Portable second in Japan.
So you're part of the second fleet. You arrived in the new world ahead of us, Arekkz.
I arrived and got beaten by a chicken ahead of you.
But here's the thing that I gotta say, which is it's so interesting that all three of us, when we first started playing Monster Hunter, regardless of which version we were playing, all three of us did not like it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's impressive. Like, right now, Monster Hunter is easily my favorite franchise of all time. Like, easily. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for Gaijin. Maybe it's the same thing for you, Arekkz? No?
Almost. It's second because Zelda is number one for me, and then Monster
Zelda.
Hunter.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. But it's like, it became super important for us, despite the fact that when we initially played it, we all kind of just, like, did not get into it.
Did not feel on it.
I feel like that's kind of the way
it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, with these style of games, because I did the exact same thing with Dark Souls. I tried to play number 1, was like, I don't like it. I tried to play number 2, was like, I don't like it. When 3 came around, I was like, I want to understand why people like these games, and then it finally clicked. And then since then, I've loved like any Soulsborne style game, Neo, Sekiro, like other things like that. I'm just like, I'm there, like no matter what. But it took me a while.
I saw you play. I saw some sections of you playing through Demon Souls. It's really cool. To see someone who is actually 100%. I mean, I assume you didn't play it on the PS3, right? Demon Souls?
No.
It's really cool to see a new player come in and try stuff out. Like, I think that is some of the best content in the Soul series, is seeing a new player go in and try to figure it out by himself without looking up guides and stuff like that. It's super satisfying to watch. I really.
Well, you mean like watching me go and kill like the main NPC of the game in Dark Souls 2?
Amazing.
He just went in and killed the maiden, and people were telling him, "Oh, now you can't level up anymore." It's like, oops.
Somebody did that to me when I was playing Sekiro. Like, they were like, "Oh, you should kill this guy," and I was like, if he's important later. And I was like, it's fine, I'll do it anyway. And then it turned out like later on he was a vendor. I was like, oh, great.
You should kill this guy is never good advice in a Souls game, right?
No, definitely not.
Unless he's swinging at you.
It depends on the guy. Some guys it's worth killing, but you usually want to keep them around. It's even interesting to see the stuff that they do throughout the story. But I think we've tortured the audience long enough. We need to dive into that sweet trailer. First thing that we see, new map. People are saying it's Sandy Plains. I didn't actually look at the website, so I don't know if they listed it at Sandy Plains.
Yeah, Sandy Plains.
So Sandy Plains is coming back. We also have a new volcano map. Is that also a returning map or not? Like it was super late for me when I was analyzing. That one's new.
No, that's new. That's the lava caverns. That's new.
So that brings the total of maps that we have available to us so far to 6. 6,
well,
Gaijin.
Yeah. Well, you got the Rampage map, yeah. Well, you also have the arena, so 7. You forgot that one.
Yeah, I mean...
The arena where you fought Arzaros, that's a map.
I guess I don't really consider the arena as a map. Like, I think of the maps as, like, larger areas.
Arena Bros, where you at?
No, it's like, I love the arena, don't get me wrong. I always find it weird when I was playing through World and people were saying, like, oh, I hate the arena's not fun. I'm like, what are you talking about? The arena's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you were right. I was predicting maybe 4, and you said 5, and we get 5. I'm color me very happily surprised.
I think we might get another one still. Do you think that's possible?
I think that's wishful thinking.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like that is something because I think 5 is normally like a pretty standard base, right? You have like your forest, your snowy area, your desert, your thing, and then one kind of mixed map. So I feel like 5 is probably, and also if you look at like the UI for when you send like Palicos and Palamutes out, I think 5 is probably about the gap.
I think that someone actually tested it out and it was like 6 for the gap. But I don't think you would send. I don't think you would send the Palicos out on the Rampage map. I don't think that would make a lot of sense.
I feel like if we get any other. Yeah, I feel like if we get anything else, it'll just be whatever kind of bespoke map we fight, like the end boss in sort of thing.
Yeah, like boss map.
Good old boss map, most likely.
It could be the tower. Who knows?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
What is the
tower? That'd be cool.
What is the tower from? Isn't that from Frontier?
They had it in Freedom's Second as well. You got there and fight Teostra and a few things out there. I'm pretty sure it was Freedom Second or Freedom Unite, one of those ones. It might have been a different tower, but they had like a tower style, like a castle style thing.
But yeah, that map's been around for a long time. I'll just put it that way. I'm not going to quote on which game it started because I don't know.
Yeah, I never got to fight in that particular map, so that would be indeed something really cool to check out. I mean, I'm always down for new maps. Whenever people say, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if this monster came back?" I'm like, yes, but also, it would be great if they came up with new monsters. Like the more new monsters are in the game, I'm always hyped up for the newer monsters. Sometimes even more than some returning, but there is a couple of monsters that I would like to see return, like Talca, Daren. We talked about Daren last time. I was so surprised that both of us were just like, "Yep, Daren, like that'd be awesome." What do you think about the possibilities of Daren returning?
I mean, it would, because it would need a. I mean, possibly. I'm trying to think of whether it would like, because when you'd need like a bespoke map for that one, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I like all those kind of like epic large monsters anyway. So like, I'm down for all of those. But
Hey, if you want to get some tinfoil hats, the cat that's behind Rondine, he has a drawing of one of the sand ships.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. I mean, that would be cool. I feel like any of these ones, just because then you would just be able to like wire bug over to everything. So it would make it to a degree, it might trivialize the fight because you could just like zip over to it whenever you want. But who knows?
I mean, considering
Miss my chance, watch me go. Woof, 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 flying across the map. Insect glaive users be like, "What's up?"
Considering the adaptations that they did for Fatalis and Alatreon and how much there were improvements on their previous iterations on those fights, I'm pretty sure they can figure out how to do a really, really cool Daren. It's just that monster is really, really cool to fight, in my opinion. Go ahead.
I want Dalamodur to come back. Like, imagine that with wirebugs. Just that he used to be so much fun. Like, that would be cool.
I never actually fought Del Amador. I feel so bad. Like I wish they would bring 4U out on Switch because I just struggle to play on the 3DS for long periods of time. Such a small screen, right? If they would just like bring a 4U remaster to the Switch, it'd be super amazing. That's actually one of the things that I've seen a couple of people ask me in the comment sections nowadays. Like, is it still worth it to get GU? And I feel like I have to explain to people, like, look, the fact that Rise is coming out does not make GU a bad game. Rise is not going to replace Generations Ultimate.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we're all huge fans of Atal Ka, and I don't think they have a real precedence for bringing back final bosses to other games. But in the trailer, when Rachna Kadaki did like the stance, the Atal Ka stance, and had the arms, I was like, oh! I was like, I know that. I know what that's from. I was excited.
That'd be cool.
She's also got some kind of like, she's also got her spider,
she's got
the spider web
little
stuff.
Babies.
Yeah, the little babies and the spider stuff. So she could, technically speaking, yeet stuff at you. Maybe, we don't know. But I mean, with the skeleton that we have, I mean, I know that the developers don't like us talking too much about skeletons, but like with the skeleton that we have for Rachna Kadaki, I think it wouldn't be too hard to implement a Talca.
That's what I'm thinking. I've seen motions in there. I was like, it could work. That is the original Silk Bind, attack user in the game. I want to pick up some Dragonators and have like a fight where I'm throwing Dragonators, she's throwing Dragonators. We're all, where's my Dragonator?
That would be amazing.
How'd you like Atal Ka in Generations, Arekkz?
Yeah, really. Like honestly, it's like a really, really cool fight because it's one of those things that because I like those fights where you just don't see the next thing coming. Like you fight it initially, and then suddenly like this giant. I mean, because I know we saw from the original trailer there was like the way they teased it was you just saw this mechanical looking beast, but obviously when you're fighting it, you're like, oh, what's this tiny looking spider? And then, or actually, it's not. It's not actually a spider. What's it called? It's a
mantis.
Praying mantis. That's it. Yeah. And then suddenly it pulls this thing out the ground. Like I like those sort of the ones where you just don't see the full thing to begin with. Same kind of thing as like we were fighting like the Karkos, or even when we fought what's its name? I forgot the name of it now. End of Iceborn. The rock thing that went into the
Sharish.
That's it. Yeah. Any of those ones where it's just like, oh, you haven't seen my final form yet. I'm just like, okay. And plus the weapons and the gear were just fantastic. It was like, hey, you want to do anything? Yeah, just get this gear. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna list off some of the new monsters though. Was Diablos already confirmed before this trailer? I forget.
No, this was its first confirmation.
Okay, so the new monsters that were confirmed in this trailer was Volvidon, Diablos, Basarios was kind of confirmed because of the hunting horn armor in the demo. Yeah. Rachna Kadaki, we also knew about her, but we didn't really. I mean, I say her nowadays. I don't know what to say.
No, I think it's a her probably.
I mean, here's the thing also, like spider in Portuguese is a female word. Oh. Which is, we literally spider is just a female word. So, and then there's Almadron, which is the new mud. Well, not new because Juratotus is also there. So I was thinking like maybe it's Juratotus' dad and he's upset about us making fun of Juratotus.
I'm not saying focused on the mud part of this monster. I saw it and the first thing I thought was, this is like a variant of Mizutsune. And everyone else is like, oh, it's Baroth. I'm like, what? Shut up. No, look at it. It moves like a Leviathan. It has the same mouth screaming and everything. Yeah, Arekkz, I thought you were going to throw some shade at me. I thought you were going to get on Twitter saying that Mizutsune is so lame that they couldn't come up with a variant, so they just made a new monster.
No, you know what? That was a missed opportunity, But I really like Almadron. I just love the look of it because I mean I love all those kind of new sort of Leviathan style monsters. Plus, he's the original curly mustache now. Did any of you guys ever see the funny kind of fighting game clip where they were talking about like Mango Sentinel and curly mustache? Like he's just like, that was great.
So I gotta mention this just for people who listen to this who don't realize we're joking. But me and Arekkz know each other, and we like each other a lot. We're friends. So we both love the Fated 4 monsters from Generations. He particularly likes Clavinus. I particularly like Mizutsune, so we like to do some playful, playground talking shit about the other monster. It's all for fun and games, guys. So don't be all shocked like, how are you going to be hating like that? It's like, it's for fun.
It's true.
Yeah, guys.
And if you want to harass Kogath is a big Gammoth fan, so you can harass him about that if you want.
Oh,
yeah, that's all right. That's allowed.
Poor Gammoth. They did Gammoth so dirty by not bringing it to the Hoarfrost
Oh, it's
Reach
Iceborn.
and Iceborn.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Like when I first saw the Iceborn trailer, I was expecting to potentially see a Gammoth there, and I was like, "Oh, no Gammoth, feels bad."
But Arekkz brings up a good point. I didn't think about that. That Almadron is now going to be the patron monster of bearded men, or bearded women, bearded people. Because it's got the cool beard. It looks all like
although
sassy.
you know what,
It's got the little tail.
Seeing the monster now, I'm a little bit disappointed that, because I'm assuming, I don't know for certain, but I'm assuming based on the color scheme that it's probably the armor set that the Switch Axe user is wearing.
See, I don't see that. Everyone's saying
not?
that, but
No.
was that
Okay.
confirmed or something? Because
No. I'm just going based on the color scheme, because you kind of got like the red outlines with the yellowy bits, and it's kind of got that sort of, even though it's more scales, it's kind of got that sort of plate look to it. So, I mean, it's a stretch. It's definitely not confirmed, so we don't know. Because I kind of hope that for an armor set for a monster with like a crazy mustache, like I want like a crazy, like, I don't know, sort of festival hat. So I'm hoping it's not.
I just don't understand where you get the mechanical sounds and the motif from that monster particularly, because it's so primal and muddy and earthy. I don't know. Maybe because it's like a catfish. People said it looks like a catfish, so maybe that's why the cat ears. I don't know, but we don't have confirmation, so I'll say I don't know.
I still think that whatever that armor set is from, and for those of you that haven't picked up, we're talking about specifically the Switch Axe armor set in the demo. If you play that, I still think that particular armor set is going to be from some kind of insect, because usually the more mecha-looking armors tend to come from insects. Like if you look at the Celtis armor, if you look at Nersilla's armor, those are kind of like Gundam-looking anime style things.
You know what would be neat? Yeah, my working theory is probably similar to yours. I think it's probably, you know how you send the cats and dogs out to do their quest?
Yeah.
And sometimes in those mini games they'll bring back like an unknown shard or something like that, like from a foreign land. It would make sense if that was sort of like the artisan, almost like the weird like bonus armor they can make.
I think it would be weird because those in the past did not have a weapon associated with it, right? If I can remember.
Pretty sure.
Oh, you're right. There is a weapon and armor, so
yeah. So because like even in this trailer, we get to see the hammer version of the weapon, which people were even asking, Rurikhan, what the hell is that weapon with the little spinny thing? And I actually had to really look at the trailer multiple times, and I was like, that moveset looks like the hammer. And then you see the new Silkbind attack where he actually pulls the thing back and then charges it, throws himself. It almost seemed like they were using that Silkbind to make you think that was the Switch Axe, right?
True, because you got that similar sort of setup. Yeah. It threw me off at first, because when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, just because of the shape, I was like, oh, it looks like a hunting horn. But obviously, hunting horn when it's
that's what I
sheathed
thought,
is up, whereas it's sideways. But I just love the fact that it looks like a Stargate portal. Like, I'm just like, what is this?
I tell you, it's like something out of Tron or something. It's like so. It's so weird. I like it.
I want to be able to like sit on it and ride it, because it looks like a little unicycle. Imagine that. Get into battle, like, that would be amazing.
So
You do that, on the quest clear screen, and you got Arekkz in the background going, wee!
Yes. It's like a one wheel. It's Monster Hunter's version of a one wheel.
Oh, I love it.
And the cool thing about it, like, I don't know if you guys looked at the actual animation in detail, but when he's charging the Silkbind art, the little spinny thing actually spins when he's charging.
I didn't actually see that.
Yeah, I thought that was
the
cool.
details are great.
It's those attention to details when it comes to the animations of the game that I instantly pick up on, like the fact that he strums the guitar whenever he's doing the final hit on the hunting horn. All of those little things, I just get really into the nitty gritty of the animations. Like I would sometimes in World, I would look for a long time at the little felines that are preparing stuff in base,
Okay.
up until the point where you actually saw the one that was blowing into the oven thing. Not sure if you guys ever noticed that animation, because he's in there, he's blowing at it, and I think he blows at it like 3 or 4 times, and then on the last time, fire comes out and he gets charred in the face.
I didn't see that. I missed that. That's amazing.
It's like, that is when you can tell that the developers of Monster Hunter World love that game, because they're constantly doing little quirky animations like that throughout the game. It's really, really good. Like even the thing from what's it called? The Steam Workshop thing. The final animation of that is also really cool. So I can't wait to see what other little quirky things they end up doing in the game. It's really, really fun. But I was bringing up all of the new monsters, and obviously, I mean, all of the confirmed
You forgot
monsters.
one.
I didn't forget it. I just didn't get to it because
We haven't said it yet. Okay. Yeah, we got sidetracked.
Good
I'll
old
let you do it.
Raja.
Yes, the strong boy is so cool.
I was like, they only showed him when he was Wyvern riding, I think, pretty much, and you can fire the laser while you are Wyvern riding. I'm gonna call it right now that the laser attack is back A. I'm calling it right now because that's whenever.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whenever you go to Mizutsune, back A is the water beam. If you go to
It's the long
Rathian,
big attack. Yeah.
yeah, she shoots the fireball, so that is going to be a thing. So
I
Arekkz,
feel like
I
I feel
assume
like
that.
that's the,
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I was going to say I feel like that was the inspiration for Wyvern Riding. I feel like someone at Capcom was just like, I just want to ride a Rajang and fire a laser beam. Can we build a mechanic around this? And they were like, yeah, sure. Let's make it so you ride monsters. Like, okay, cool. Let's go. That's it.
Someone was playing Stories 2 and they said, you know what, this is really fun, but can we always do this? Like, I just want to run around on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Non-turn based.
Oh, sorry. That went in the wrong hole. Yeah, so we got Rajang, we got all of the other new things, and they finally started showing us Rampage Mode. And good God, does Rampage Mode look like a complete insanity, just like monsters charging at you. To me, it seemed like some form of tower defense. It reminded me a lot of the Lao Shen Lung encounter where you have the checkpoints, and Lao Shen Lung is just like advancing through the checkpoints, and you use the weapons to try and stop him along the way. Like, what did you guys
This one looked a little bit like it came in waves, is kind of the impression I got. Like you'd have like wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3, and then finally the apex comes out at the end and you finish off the quest. So that's my impression I got. We don't actually know, but oh my gosh. I mean, I think we're safe to say this looks like it's going to be the end game content, because it's just, obviously you're not going to have those type of monsters just running around crazy early in the game. And the whole, Apex, which we'll get to later, I'm sure, just seems like that's going to be like the thing. And I love the idea, the suggestion that, because this looks like it's multiplayer focused, right? Because we got on screen confirmed at least 4 monsters at a time, probably 5, considering the way they've been doing like the cut intros for those scenes. But we got at least 4 at the same time. So it's like, it's multiplayer focused fun, and there's like tons of like different artillery options and stuff. So if you don't want to get in the monster's face, there's other things you can do to contribute, which I love. But I love the idea that they're showing like at the end the maidens fight as well. So Minato and Hinoa fight. So I'm thinking maybe it's not just story. Maybe if you do Rampage solo, maybe they help out as NPCs. I don't know. That would be pretty hype. Because you got the little boy and girl. They also use weapons, charge blade and heavy bowgun.
Yeah, the charge blade of the little boy looks funny. It's just bigger than him, but it's.
Arekkz, what do you think? I'm hyped, but
yeah, I honestly I love it. It looks like absolute carnage. It looks like Mario Party of Monster Hunter, and I'm just like I'm all for it, because it's just like it's one of those modes that you can tell as well. Like, people are going to get varying degrees of fun out of it. Sometimes people will be like, I just want to fight a load of monsters with my friends. You can also see on the flip side the speedrunners that are going to be like, I'm going to do this solo and just like fight everyone on my own. But I just love I think kind of going back to what you were saying, Rurikhan, as well. Like, I definitely think it'll have like that checkpoint approach where obviously, you saw the gates getting knocked down. There'll probably be some kind of quest counter that's like, hey, they've destroyed 40% of your defenses or something.
Yeah.
So it might be one of those ones where either, as you say, you finish it if you can get the apex monster, or you just kind of go as long as you can until they have to be repelled or something like that. But I just love the idea of it. I mean, yeah, there's obviously all these different areas you can fight, and it makes complete sense now why we do have something like Wyvern Riding, because that is going to be incredibly important in a mode like this. Like, if you've got like Mizutsune running down the barriers and you're like, well, I need to jump on Rajang just to stop you, then it's going to be cool. But yeah, I can't wait to see how it plays out, and like all the tactics around it, because I think you mentioned Gaijin on one of like your tweets before, you were like, oh well, if this is going to be a big thing, like I want to start making armor sets with like artillery and stuff. Like, that's going to be important, right? So yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm imagining, because of the mayhem of it all, one, I can't believe they got that up and running on the Switch. Are you kidding me? Like, having 4 monsters at the same time? Are you crazy? And nuts. Then I'm going to guess that once you kill a monster, so to say, I imagine they're just going to run away and retreat. because that would explain story-wise why it keeps happening, and you're not going to be able to stop in the middle of that and carve a monster. Come on. Maybe the Apex, but not the other ones. It's going to be crazy. But the hunting horns, this game was designed to make hunting horns shine. I'm convinced of it.
True.
So you were saying that potentially this could be a wave-based thing. I think it's going to be 4 monsters and then the Apex. I think that's the idea. You're going to be fighting the 4, because if they do it wave-based, either they greatly reduce the health of the monsters in order for you to be able to kill multiple monsters before they cross on through.
So
which I think,
when I said wave, I didn't mean like kill the whole wave and then wave 2 comes. I mean like maybe 2 of them will come in at first, and like 2 minutes later, another 2 will come in. So if you didn't knock out the first 2, then you now have 4 in there, and it's kind of like mayhem.
Yeah. So this was one of the things that I brought up because I streamed this last night, and then I did a video on it. And the first thing that I brought up when it comes to the fact that there's now 4 monsters in there, I was like, you remember how people were saying that the Switch is not powerful, the Switch can't handle the graphics of a Monster Hunter game? Well, we have one more monster than Monster Hunter World in the hunt at any given time. So
this also explains why they tweaked the bow so that the arc shot is a buff shot. It makes a lot of sense in the context of Rampage, because it's such tight quarters that could be a godsend. You're like hitting monsters, and you're like, oh, let me buff these guys down below. Like, that would make total sense.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be like the streamer mode. I can't wait to see, like, okay, boys, we doing rampages for the next 4 hours. Come join the stream. Like
that's gonna be so cool. I hope they do like Rampage specific like gears. I mean, like, obviously you have armor sets, but I'm guessing like if it's the end game mode, there'll be something that we have to get from it. So like I'm hoping, whether it be like Safi Jiva style rewards or something like that, you do like based on how well you do, you get like a load of rewards.
Yeah,
or, like,
Rampage points or something, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I just hope it's not RNG weapons, please. No more like Kolv Taroth and Safi Jiva stuff. Like
Guild Quest.
I really don't want to see systems like those come back, because I prefer the tried and true method of Monster Hunter of like, I want Fire Sword, I go kill big fire monster, I get Fire Sword. Like, that to me is much more interesting. But the good part of the Rampage system is that it's not tied to any individual monster. So it's not like you're going to be grinding just Mizutsunes or just Raknakadakis. There's going to be a bunch of monsters in a Rampage. I do think that it might mean that we're going to see a system like the Investigations come back, which I know that you're not a big fan of, Gaijin. But because of the fact that you see like all of these different groups of monsters, and if it's going to be an endgame system, I don't think it's going to be like a static amount of quests where it's like,
I think it'd be shuffled.
Yeah, it's going to get shuffled somehow, or maybe
like what rampage you got going on? Well, I got this rampage. Okay, well, let's do this one or something. I don't know. Maybe that would.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way the Apex system used to work, right? It wouldn't always be there, or you'd have a different one than your friends, and you sort of chose what you wanted to do.
Yeah. And speaking on the Apex system, a lot of people are like, hell yeah, Gore Magala, yeah, baby.
Like,
go ahead, Gaijin.
You know what? I got a face palm. You guys can't see me, but I'm just like so frustrated. So like, why did Capcom do that and like bait everybody? Because just so people know, and this is not me guessing, okay, this is 1000% the case. The Apex is not related to the Apex from Monster 4 Ultimate. The reason why I know this, look at every other language. In Japanese, they call it Nushi, which just means the big boss. It's a brand new term that they never used before. In French, they call it superior, so it's like a superior Arzuros. In Brazilian, they're calling it the alpha, so the alpha Arzuros. So they're using.
You mean in Portuguese? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah, alpha. I know. I didn't want to. I'm just quoting what I was told on a tweet. I don't want to like make my assumptions and get it wrong and look like a real fool. At least now I can pass the blame on somebody else, But yeah, so it's the term they're just using. I mean, the English language is. I mean, they could have got a little bit more creative, but it's the same idea they do in every game, right? It's like it's the super monster, but this is not tied to Gore Magala. It's just unfortunate that they used the word Apex again. And I just think it was kind of baiting people because everyone's like, Gore Magala's back, baby. Or people were unhappy. They're like, I hated the Apex system. I'm like, this there's nothing that hints that this is the same thing. So I don't know why they chose
Would you
that,
have preferred that, Arekkz, to have the old 4U Apex system?
No. I was not. I mean, I was not a fan of the Apex monsters and all the like the what was it? Again, I forget the names. Like the stones you used to have to put on your weapon so you could like attack or whatever. Whatever.
The Y stones
that,
or whatever.
That was just annoying. I was like, I mean, I like the sort of challenge aspect, and I like the idea of what they're doing here, which is just like a bigger, badder version of a monster, just isn't the Apex, because that's kind of like I sort of touched on it in a video that I was kind of speaking about. Was like I like the idea of that system because you take something like Argyros and you make like an alpha Argyros. It's like suddenly like a low tier monster actually presents a challenge. So that I'm cool with. And then it kind of also like adds in, basically kind of means that when we do start getting to the end game, we're not actually farming just like 5 difficult monsters. We're actually like anything could be cool. So I want to see quite, whether everything can be alpha or apex, because if suddenly you do like an ultra difficult rampage and it's like alpha Rajang, like, oh my god.
I say, so out of all the monsters they've announced for both of you guys, which of the Apex monsters do you want to see the most? Which one interests you when just thinking about it?
I didn't really think about this one. Let's see.
That's a good point, actually.
It's like, considering that the Apex is probably not going to be fighting other monsters, and my favorite thing about Rajang is when he starts beating up on other monsters. That's just that's the main reason I even like Rajang. I don't even like fighting him that much. I just like seeing him beat up on other monsters. I like how he's concentrated awesomeness. He's like a very small package, but he's just so much power in that small package, right? So I don't think it would be Rajang for me. I don't know. I have to go with something basic, like probably Rathalos. I'm curious to see what they do with it. I hope it's just not just, it's annoying because it flies a lot. Considering that they gave Rathalos new attacks with that new fire breath thing that he does and whatnot. So I'd be curious to see what that looks like as an Apex. And it's probably going to be a thing considering how iconic Rathalos is to the whole franchise. So yeah. I'd go with that.
How about you, Arekkz?
I think maybe Mizutsune, they can make that boring monster more exciting.
Yeah, nailed it. I was curious if you were going to go for it or not.
I've got to do it. I've got to do it.
We finally found a way. If they can improve Arzuros, they could do something about that boring Leviathan. I mean, maybe that's why they left Clavinus out of this game, because it's already so boring that even the Apex wouldn't even work for it. So it's just like it doesn't work in any context. So.
It's just because he's too powerful that if he was in Rampage mode, he would kill everything by like spinning his tail around. They'd be like, he's ruined the difficulty. So they had to take out the difficult monsters and leave the easy ones. You see.
Sorry,
didn't they say that they were going back? They want to have iconic, interesting armor and weapon design. So that immediately removes him from the game.
Oh my! Oh no!
I'm sorry, Gaijin.
Sorry, we could do this over and over. This is too fun.
You're at a disadvantage here, though. I'm going to have to support the Glavenus claim right there, because Glavenus is also one of my favorite Fated 4. So yeah, I'll stand with Arekkz on this one.
It's okay. When Yuna gets home, I'll get her in here. She'll help me. We'll represent.
It's funny that both of you like Mizu.
I want to see an Apex. I want to see an Apex Lagombi. I like Lagombi. Okay. I just love big bunny monster running around sliding and butt slamming people. I love the Snow Baron, so that's why. It's probably going to be something similar. And I hate
Snow Baron. Keep that thing.
You can imagine it in Rampage, because like Rampage is loads of like corridors and things. Like
exactly, tight areas.
Like,
so you got to really think about using your wire bugs to get up on those platforms, because man, that thing could be going down for a strike. It's like bowl.
Maybe that's how it work, right? Rajang, like Apex Rajang will drop in, pick up a Lagombi, and just be like,
Rajang bowling, yeah.
There we
go. He shoots, he scores.
And just like instantly just like breaks all the barriers, and you're like, yep, game over.
I'm just going to get a lance, and I'm going to stand in front of Minoto. I'm like, you're not touching her. I'm protecting her.
I thought you weren't going to play the lance, Gaijin. I mean, what's going on there?
I'm still torn. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I'll be honest.
I think we all kind of are. Like, what weapons are you torn between, Arekkz? Are you just like straight up sword and shield? From what I've seen from you, it looks like you're going for sword and shield straight up.
I am still. It's funny. I'm definitely still going for it, because I went back into it first. I was like, because normally I'll main a different weapon every Monster Hunter game, and then just for the story, and then I'll kind of go back and do that. But then I was like, and when I first played the Rise demo at first, I was like, oh yeah, sword and shield feels like a little different. I think I'll just go and switch it up. And then suddenly like it all clicked again. I was like, I can't deviate. This is too good. But I'm gonna do like a
What?
half and half. I'm gonna do Sword and Shield Gunlance to play through story because Gunlance is so fun, and I wanna be the rocket guy. I wanna be like boom, bam. So that's it.
It's like those are
It's a dream come true.
Those are the two weapons that I'm planning on playing as well, is the sword and shield and the gun lance.
It is so good though, right? The thing is, I chose Gunlance purely not from a I'm gonna be a fishing point of view. I chose it from I want to do stupid stuff. I want to launch myself into the sky super high, and I want to get the rocket blast and just fire myself into battle. You know what? I can picture all my multiplayer hunts. Like guys will be like fighting the monster. They'll be like, right, we need a backup, and I'll just be like, Ew. Oh, I missed.
You're gonna be doing blast dash. I'll tell you right now, if you do blast dash on GU, it takes a while for you to get used to that move. It's really weird. And the finishing move, I don't think it's gonna be the same thing in Rise. They have to change it. But the finishing move in GU has such a huge delay that you can do blast dash and wait almost to the moment where your hunter's in the ground and then press the button, and you'll just like stand in the air and slowly do the slam. It's like super.
Now, blast dash is going to be a really fun move in the Rampage arena. You're going to be able to like go go up on the tallest part and just go.
Yeah, you know
that's gonna be fun.
You know what's that going to cause? I can tell you right now what that's going to cause. You're going to overshoot every single time, because in GU, whenever there was any inclination and you were above it, like it would launch you so far, you'd be surprised. You'd like cross half the map, going like wee.
Whee!
But I love the fact that Arekkz is just like, I just want this weapon to do stupid stuff with. It's like, yeah, that's why I main it. It's like I just use it to do stupid things.
It's so true.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Wow, you guys are only torn between 2. I'm torn between 4.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's. I mean, the lance is always beckoning me. It's in every game. It's like, hey, I'm your main. I'm your real main. Come back to me. And it's just when I get lazy or I want to feel comfy, I just pick it up because I feel like I can't die with it. And then the switch axe keeps telling me, hey, you loved me in Generations. Come back to me. And then Insect Glaive, everyone's talking smack about me. Show me some love. And then Light Bowgun's constantly telling me, hey, I'm more than just an endgame weapon. So I don't know what to do.
True.
I don't know.
I think there is one more weapon in the mix, which is just Charge Blade, just because I always love Charge Blade anyway, but also because the new Siltbind move, like you can almost.
Did you see that? He did like the splits in the air or something.
That looks so cool, right? But that one paired with the one they used in the demo, where you can just refresh all your files, it's almost like you can actually in Charge Blade Play completely replace guard points with just that action, because it's just like, give me my files, bam, give me my files, I'll go into SAD. It's like, okay, so yeah, I think those are my 3 if I'm torn.
I was gonna say the Sword and Shield would work with you really well because you embody Kratos so well, and that one move looks like, like the Blades of Chaos or whatever.
Yeah,
doesn't
true.
it?
Yeah. I'm still hoping like we get a kind of a Shoryugeki style return, because I love that move so much.
Shoryugeki. Oh my god.
Shoryugeki.
I actually started using that one a lot more in GU, because I used to use the Blade Dance one, which is the big combo that he does. But then when I got level 3 on Shoryugeki, because it does the uppercut up and then another slam down with the shield, I was like, dude, forget about this other combo. Yeah, I have to do Shoryugeki all the time. I'd be using the thing even in monsters where it wasn't super efficient. I don't care. I'm gonna run up to them and try to hit it, and I would miss like half the times, but it's so good. So
we got a lot of monsters in this game though already, isn't it? Kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're like over 30 now, right? Or at 30, aren't we?
So last time that we checked it, Gaijin, we were at 28, I think, and we had already predicted Basarios and Ragnar Kadaki. So this would be 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's another 4th. So we're at 32 right now, I think. 32 monsters. Like that is a lot. If you consider that in World, we had 30 monsters. The very first iteration of World was either 30 or 31, I forget. But it was like 31 monsters and 5 maps, and that was the game. And it was like over 1,000 hours of playtime. We already have that in Rise, and we haven't even seen all the monsters yet, which is friggin' awesome. Yeah. And
so another thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on, and hopefully I'm not jumping topic too much here, but every time they release a new trailer, they update the official website. It's like one of the few games in the world that it's worth going on their website. It's actually really well made, and they update it with information that's not all just given in videos. And so today's update was really interesting because they gave us our first look at armor skills in the system. They confirmed that talismans would be something that you'll get as you progress in the game, which sounds like RNG to me, but we don't know for sure, of course. And they also confirmed that the armor system is going to very closely mirror what we have in World, in that it's going to be, you get a skill and that's it. And it'll have tiers. They're not going back to the 10-point system. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Arekkz?
Oh, and the other big change, in case you missed it, is I don't know if this means that there's not going to be any set bonuses, but they said that if you wear more than 3 pieces of a single series, it'll raise your defenses, like your elemental defenses. It'll give you a boost, almost like defense boost, I guess, does. So I don't know if that means that they're going to, strip away the set bonuses so they can focus more on the uniqueness of each piece or what. I don't know, but
yeah, it'd be interesting because I mean it's hard to say at the moment because I guess the only set they showed the skills on was the starter armor, and obviously we know from like World we didn't really see set bonuses until we started to get close to high rank sets. But honestly, I mean, I like both systems. They both have their merits. It's interesting because when I had the interview with Ichinose, he kind of mentioned that like the skill system was going to be like halfway between both, but it definitely seems to lean slightly more towards the World side. I think it makes sense from just like an understanding point of view, because I remember, anyone that I used to try and get to play Monster Hunter in the past, it would always be like, let me explain how skills work. Whereas in World, you can just be like, all right, it makes sense, So I think
get out your calculator, boys.
That's the thing, right? It always used to be that kind of, but I did like sort of the mixed potential of like the older system, but I definitely, I'm happy with the new one. I would like to see set bonuses return like in some capacity, because I always thought they added like a fun dynamic. But I do quite like the idea. It'll be interesting to see as well whether like every single armor set does that whole like 3 pieces gives you the defense boost, or maybe that is where their set bonus idea is going. Maybe it's like some of them will give you like a defense boost, or some of them might give you like an attack boost, or there could be things like that, because when you do have those like you should wear 3 pieces, it kind of promotes some interesting mixed opportunities. Obviously from the picture we had on the website, the list is pretty short, but again, that's a starter armor, so we don't really know, whether you're still going to have the opportunity to have, say, a page full of skills, or whether they are trying to go slightly more. Maybe that's what Ichinose meant when he kind of spoke about like the blend between the systems, where they've got the World system, but they have fewer skills, so you have to like balance it out.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking, like, if they removed or stepped away from set bonuses in a way, that would allow them to, that's one way that they can combat the inflation problem, which we've talked about a lot in the podcast, of there just being too many skills you can have at one time. Also, if they greatly limit the amount of slots you can have on armor, that would obviously do the same thing. And maybe they're going to have craftable decos. That's my dream. And if they do that, then that would be a perfect combination between World and Old School, and I'd be very happy.
I definitely hope that
Rurikhan, what's your thoughts on this?
I hope that we get to see the craftable decos again. I think that would be better, like we discussed in previous podcasts as well, that we would prefer that with the random charms. I was, though, I got to say it, I was a little bit disappointed when it was just like, well, it's just World. Because I specifically remember always the Arekkz interview, because like the second you put out that interview, I was watching and I was like, a mix of the old and new. That sounds great. Like I talked about it in a lot of videos, like, oh, it's going to be some kind of a mix. What's going to be? And then it's the World system. I was like, okay. Do you think there could potentially be negative skills? I think that would be an interesting thing. Like certain armors will give you like, sure, you can have your critical eye, your attack boost, or whatever, but when you get one of those, maybe you'll get negative something else, and that would kind of like force you to balance stuff out in a similar way that we did in the older system. But
it's
again,
possible, right? You could have like level 1 sharpness minus level 1 attack or something, right? Like maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They seem to be stepping away from minuses and only embracing perks this time, though, with a lot of different design choices. So I don't know.
Yeah, I figured if it was going to be a minus, they would probably showcase it now that they're revealing the system. So this is kind of just like a little bit of wishful thinking in order to have you balance stuff out in the different armor sets that you do. But on top of it, I was very surprised with one of the skills that they showed, which was the Wirebug Whisperer, because I kind of remember, I don't know who it was that told me. I think it might have been you, Gaijin. You said something like,
it was me, yeah.
They said they're not going to do anything with Wirebugs, and I was like, no.
So at the TGS game show, when they were showing off footage, I believe it was TGS, they mentioned that there wouldn't be armor skills or things that could mess with like the cooldowns for your Silkbind attacks and stuff like that. They don't want to mess with those because that's like a set thing. And that made me very happy to hear, because they shouldn't, because then it would be spammable, that you could break the balance, and it would start to encourage the fact that you have to use these moves, where they're constantly now telling everybody it's just something in your arsenal. You don't have to use them. You could just keep them for mobility if you want. It's not a big deal. I did notice something that I tweeted about right before this podcast that I want to bring up, which is a mistranslation actually on the official website.
Oh my
for
God.
the wire bug. I know it's really unfortunate to see this, but the game's not out, so hopefully they can fix it. But the wire bug whisperer has 3 levels, right? And the first level is correct. It says that it extends the durations in which you can keep a wild wire bug, like the ones that you find on the map.
That's the third one that you would get.
Yeah, it extends it by 30%, which I think is great. That's not making it overpowered. I think that's a nice bonus, especially because those are so good for mobility. Level 2 of that, in English, it said it further increases passive wire bug recovery rate, which was really vaguely worded, but it made it sound like it would speed up the rate of all your wire bug gauges.
That's what I get.
Perhaps passive. Yeah, and passive probably means when you're not in combat. So it's like, okay, so this is for movement. It's not a big deal. It won't affect the hunt. But then I looked at the Japanese site, and passive is also the word that they use for wirefall. They call it wire. They call it the wire bug. I won't say the Japanese. It won't make any sense to you guys. But the kakerimushi ukemi. It's a set phrase that means wirefall in English, and it says that it says additionally, as in like on top of the level 1 bonus that you get from this skill, additionally the recovery rate, whether they're talking about the gauge or they're talking about the animation, I don't know, the recovery rate for wirefall is increased. So it's not the same as what they're saying in English. So I'm already kind of like, okay, you know what? I just need to see the darn game because none of this makes sense to me. And the third skill seems like it's translated properly. I just don't know what it means. Like it increases your passive recovery rate while on the ground. I just don't understand.
It's because the insect glaive is too powerful.
I know. So they need to nerve it. I don't know,
Maybe
but
it's one of those. Yeah.
It's a little too early, I think, to judge it and get worried about it, especially now that we're seeing that there are some definitive mistranslations in some of the materials. I think we'll just wait for the game. But, I mean, I have every faith that they're going to balance it right. This team is always really good about that stuff.
Arekkz, you were saying?
No, I was just saying, I mean, maybe the third point is because obviously a lot of your wire bug recharge is sort of slowed if you're in the air anyway. So maybe it's one of those ones where if you happen to be standing on the ground and you're not in combat, then it doesn't really matter if it like recharges ever so slightly faster because that's not like a combat skill. But again, as you say, we have to wait until we get to test it out. It's too hard to know right now.
So another
Did you see the early purchase? The early purchase talisman skill that they also announced.
Yes.
So if you buy the game early, that you're not supposed to get talismans yet until you get probably a little bit into the game, but from the very start you're able to use it, and it gives you critical eye level 1 and wall running level 1, which increases your wall run. It reduces your stamina when running
depletion
around walls by 25%.
That's nice. I like that.
So another thing that I instantly noticed in the skill screen, because like initially I thought that the pedal ace was going to be replacing the charm. Because I remember one of the trailers that they did showed us this equipment thing, and it didn't have a talisman in it, and instead it just had the pedal ace, and that led me to be like, oh, there's not going to be charms, it's just going to be pedal aces. But no, you have the two things, and the pedal ace, as you upgrade it, I think it's going to speed up how fast you can get the endemic life bonuses. Or you can have like different types of pedal aces. Like the one that they show here is the hunting pedal ace. So maybe that increases how fast you get stamina. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe you'll have an attack pedal ace that increases how fast you get to the maximum of attack through endemic life. Stuff like that. I think that is going to be the system for the pedal ace. I'm just surprised that on top of it, you also get talismans. And I can't wait for people to say that game is literally pay to win because you get a talisman with critical eye.
Didn't World have a similar thing though, where you got
Yes.
sort of like a bonus pendant or charm if you bought the game early?
There was the charm at the beginning. Yeah, I can't remember what skills it had. I know
Didn't it like health
there were
boost or
decent-
something?
No, I
like that.
think
they
it
were
was
decent to begin
attack
with.
up. I think it had attack up 1. I'm not sure, but I think it was that.
Okay.
Interesting. But yeah, Petal Aces, they went into detail on I want to say the official website. I could be wrong. Where they talked about the different type of Petal Aces, and it's exactly what you were saying. Like certain Petal Aces have different limits for like the red birds or that give you attack up. Like maybe like in the demo, R1 was capped at, what was it, like
10.
6, I think.
The attack was 10.
Well, yeah, 10 total. Like maybe that would become 20, or the amount of boost that you get from just picking up one spirit bird actually can fluctuate. Like so, maybe when you pick it up, it's enhanced more.
I think that would be the idea. That's the idea that I get, at least from the wording that they've used so far, is that you would just get more on a certain type of spirit bird if you have the specific Petal Ace that benefits from that spirit bird.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Yeah. I think that is pretty much all of the new information that we had in that trailer. I did wanted to bring up that I kind of agree with the point that you mentioned previously, but we kind of like shifted away from the NPCs thing, because that was one of the biggest complaints that I would get in my comment section whenever they came up with something like a Kolv Taroth or a Safi Jiva, was the solo players that either couldn't afford or didn't want it to pay for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live. And they would be kind of stuck because, those things are just scaled for 4 players. And unless you're a God tier player, you're not going to be soloing those monsters. It's just that simple. Or unless you feel like spending 48 hours on it, just like chopping away at Safi Jiva's energy levels by yourself. That was just one thing that was kind of like out of the reach of the people that would not engage in multiplayer. And I do think that NPCs fighting alongside you is going to be the kind of like equalizer. If you're not able to get online, you still want to do a rampage, you're going to be able to bring. But I think from the footage that we see in the trailer, you only get to bring 2 NPCs. So you can pick which NPC you bring with you. But the leverage there is that probably, and this is all just wild speculation, but probably if you are solo, you're still able to bring in the two pals instead of only having one, like when you're multiplayer. And that would make up for the fact that you only get 2 NPCs instead of 3. That is kind of like what I would expect, but that's also going to depend wildly on how effective the AI is going to be. And
so what I'm looking forward to? I'm going to get a heavy bow gun. I'm going to put a shield on it. I'm going to sit in the corner. I'm going to have 2 palicos, and they're going to win the entire rampage for me.
You're going to get that palico rally skill maxed out.
Because cats are OP. We're going to dope on the Felvine, and they're going to go for it, and it's going to be over before we know it.
All right,
what's going to happen is like they're going to watch out, that's an Apex Palico. Watch out for it. We can't let it get close.
Apex Palico. But this reminds me a little bit of Tokiden. I'm not sure if you guys played Tokiden. This was long time ago. But you would be able to go into the hunts, because Tokiden is kind of like a Monster Hunter game. Except, interestingly enough, it was more yokai inspired. But you would be able to go on these hunts with your NPC, and the NPCs would be more efficient depending on the relationship level that you had with them and whatnot. And I almost feel like there might be a similar system there, which is why they show you the different NPCs. So I don't know if they're going to do something like that. That would be something completely new to Monster Hunter, but you choosing certain NPCs and maybe they level up or something depending on how much you hunt with them, in a similar way that your Palicos and Palamutes will along through the game. But I don't know. That's just me speculating at this point. But I did have to basically cut ties with Hinoa. Like, I was Team Hinoa all the way. And then she picked up a bow, and I was like, well, sorry, Hinoa, we can't be friends anymore. Now I'm Team Minoto.
Maybe
Arekkz, which one are you on?
Maybe she's the only person who can actually pull out the potential of the bow. Maybe she is the only one that can master it.
I don't care.
Which do you have an alliance between the two?
I'm neutral. I'm neutral at the moment because I feel like I haven't had enough exposure to them yet. I feel like I need to determine this once I've met them in the game. So I'm gonna chill in the middle. I'm just saying that in my team, I want the training dude, because he looks cool. The way he like runs across the roof and just lands down like him. I need him in Rampage because he's gonna Kage Bunshin behind something and just like kill everything. So I'm like, that's who I want.
He cheats though. He disappears.
Exactly. This is what I need. I need the cheat squad. I want to get him, and then I want to have that admiral just like stand there with his because he's gonna have to go toe to toe with the Rajang. So like forget the other ones.
Yeah.
Ninja
Have
Boy
you
and
seen
Admiral.
his dog? It looks like a German Shepherd. Oh man,
It's
it'll just
amazing.
ruin the monsters.
I
Mhm.
haven't actually seen his dog. Is this on the website?
Yeah. All the official screenshots. He's standing there with this huge like brown gray German Shepherd looking thing. That's his Palamute. His Palico or his ex Palico is Kogarashi, the leader of the fleet that sends all the cats and the dogs out.
Mm.
That's his old Palico. So like Fugen is a badass.
I wonder. I'm interested to see how many of the there's the obvious NPCs like we know Minato and Hinor, and I guess like we've seen the kid with the charge blade. I'm like, I wonder if it could extend. Like does Rondine come and battle with you one day? Like can I call on her, or can I call on can I call on Kogarashi? Like that would be cool. I want little yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, what excites me is knowing that they have such great outfits in the game. Is that there's going to be ways to unlock it if you do all their side quests. I'm like, I can't wait to do all those.
That's what I wanted to bring back because one of the things that I enjoyed a lot in Generations was unlocking things like the Toka armor set or like some of the other ones, like where you just you had to do just an abundance of quests. So if they can do special things like that would be cool.
I want different room service. I want to be able to unlock the Moga Sweetheart and all those. I want all that
cool.
back.
No, listen.
I want a Hojo in battle with me to ride his little Tetsu into battle. Like,
I was about to say just that. I was gonna say you guys are talking about the Fugen and whatnot. I just want to see Hojo ride his little Tetsukabra into battle.
that would be amazing. That would be so good.
Oh my god, that is so insane. But the new trailer was friggin' outstanding. I was not expecting it. The Nintendo Direct actually had some really cool stuff, like the Xenoblade characters coming to Smash. Pyra and Mithra. I'm a huge Xenoblade 2 fan, so that was really cool to see as well. But so this is the first time that we're talking with Arekkz about Rise. How do you feel about Rise, like in general, not just about this this new trailer? Like coming from World to Rise, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's a downgrade and the visuals this and the other things that and whatnot. Like, what is your take on Rise as a whole?
I'm honestly like nothing but super excited for it because honestly, like because my Monster Hunter beginnings all started on portable. Like I've just I've always loved that, and there's although there's definitely elements that could always be improved. There always can be in games. Like I just love the gameplay. Like it gives me everything I want. Like it genuinely is. I know it's too early to say, and I feel like sometimes I say this every time a new Monster Hunter game comes out. I'm like, I feel like this is gonna be my favorite Monster Hunter game ever because it's just like it's ticking so many boxes for me. Like I love the aesthetics for it. I love the feel of it. Like I love all the combat and the gameplay. You often find this with like titles that Ichinose has worked on as well, where like he kind of like dials up the fun slightly more, so it's a little bit less so on worrying like too much because I think he said a similar sort of thing in Generations before, where he was like, oh, it's going to be a slightly easier game to promote you like messing around with different things, and I like that in Rise. I'm just like I'm not because ultimately I'm sure there will still be challenges, but I've never played Monster Hunter specifically for the challenge. I just play it because I like collecting armor and doing the weapons and stuff, and like this just ticks so many boxes. Like everything about it is cool. It's hyper stylized. I am so incredible, and I just because I am a massive Nintendo fanboy and like Switch is my favorite console, so I'm just like, well, it's back on Switch. When we're finally out of lockdown and I can start traveling again, Monster Hunter used to be my travel game. Like anywhere I would go, it would be like that's the only thing I play because you're on like an 8-hour plane journey. Like you play Monster Hunter, the plane journey's just gone. Like whereas you play other games and it just doesn't quite fill that void the same way. So I am. I just want it to be March 26th now. This way, it's
I'm
painful.
curious when you play portable on your Switch, do you prefer playing the normal Switch portable or Switch Lite?
Actually, kind of a mix. So I really like the Switch Lite because I bought that a little while ago. Like, because I didn't necessarily think I'd need it, but then I bought the Switch Lite, but then I got a grip for it. So it kind of just sort of like plays like really nicely. But what I've also recently been doing is when I play portable on the regular Switch, I use the what are they called? The slightly bigger Hori pads.
Yeah.
Because they just give you like a really nice comfortable feel for it. It makes the console pretty bulky, so it's not really portable. But yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
Okay. So
every Monster Hunter game is the best Monster Hunter game. They're standing on the shoulders of what the previous one. They're always the best. They're so good. Raising the bar every time.
True.
So what were your feelings on the Clutch Claw? Because I have to ask this always. What are your feelings on the Clutch Claw in Iceborn? Because the community is very much like, Clutch Claw bad, or at least the majority of them.
Yeah, so I'm always a fan of like, messing around with new mechanics, and I enjoyed some of what the clutch claw let you do. I'll say the one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of, like I found the necessity to always apply a weak spot was kind of a bit annoying, because it was always like sometimes I'm just like, I might be in the middle of a combo, I might be doing something else, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to put like, it used to be this thing in Monster Hunter, like, oh, I've knocked the monster down, everyone pile on the head, or do what you need to do. Whereas then now it used to be, I've knocked the monster down, somebody put a weak spot on before, otherwise it's like, we're missing out on damage. I felt like that kind of necessity to always do that to be, optimal. I know you don't have to do that, but to kind of be optimal, it just sort of felt like it somewhat pigeonholed the playstyle. I liked what the Clutch Claw offered for some weapons. Like when you take a look at, say, some of the things in Iceborn, or you look at the switch axe that was able to kind of grab on, or the dual blades that mid combo could like grapple on. There were some very cool things that you could do with it. And obviously being able to like fire the slinger out and do some stuff like that. I liked elements of it. But yeah, I just didn't. I wasn't a huge fan of the kind of weak spot mechanic. I do like yeeting monsters into the wall though.
Well, I mean, now you can just straight up ride them. It's just because going from Iceborn into Rise, it feels like the wire bug is. It feels like it's the natural evolution of the Clutch Claw, even though technically speaking, the games were being developed in parallel. Actually, no, Rise was being developed before Iceborn. So technically speaking, if anything, the Clutch Claw was the thing that they were copying the wire bug from. But it just feels like the wire bug is a much more like solid option, because it doesn't force you. It doesn't become a mini game of like, okay, let me look at the map. What color is the monster's eye? Is it yellow? Okay, I got to get a wall bang, because that was one of the things that you were always looking at. Is the eye yellow? Got to get a wall bang. It is what it is.
True. Well, it also made the agitator skill too powerful, because it used to be Challenger was a great skill back in, Try Ultimate, and we would be excited when the monster got upset, because you had to hit the monster pretty hard to get it pissed off. So it was an achievement. And then when it got upset, it was like, okay, now the stakes are high, but I got more damage. Like let's bring it on, And it was a very special moment of a few minutes where they would hit harder, they would take more damage, perhaps skills would activate, but it didn't last forever. So you had to make the most out of it, whether you were running away or you were doing something with it, where if you can have enraged mode on demand, it makes it a little trivial. I think that's one of the things that disappointed me a little bit about it. But I'll tell you, going from Rise to Iceborn, because that's what I've been doing with Yuna. We played the Rise demo over 100 hours, and now we're on Iceborn. They're perfectly different, and they feel completely different. And I think they both have their pros to them. I think we're really enjoying using the Clutch Claw. Actually, I don't necessarily like it when a monster is so tough that you have to do it. But it's so fun to yeet monsters around.
It's good when it's an option. It's not as fun when basically you're expected to do it and the difficulty is kind of like balanced around it. I feel like that's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. That's just something that I like to ask everybody that comes on the show, like their feelings on Clutch Claw, because everybody has this thing about the Clutch Claw's not good. It's like I don't hate it either, but it is basically what it is. So
I do much prefer the wire bug though, just because the wire bug for me is more than just a combat tool. Like I think one of the things that clicks with me so much about Rise as well is that I almost love it in the same way that I love Breath of the Wild, because outside of hunting, Rise just feels like a game you want to explore. Like it could almost be like an adventure game, because being able to like run up the walls in the same way that in Breath of the Wild you could climb anything, being able to wirebug swing in the same way that Breath of the Wild you could like glide around. Like it's almost like Monster Hunter meets Zelda for me in like a really kind of weird way. So I just and I've always like genre wise I love like adventure games, platformers and things like that. So just being able to swing around and just do stuff that's not even fighting is just a lot of fun. So I feel like the wirebug is just the potential for it is awesome.
It's funny that you say that, because on the very first trailer that we saw, where they give you the thing and they show you the hunter and the dog, and then the first thing that they show you is him just like jumping over a bridge with the wirebug. I was like, it's Monster Hunter, but it's an action adventure game. Like that was the first thing that came to my mind, because like it really seemed like it was going to be significantly different than what we had in Monster Hunter before. And then eventually you start seeing the monsters and the regular hunts, and like, okay, so no, it's still traditional Monster Hunter. Because I was actually like, oh, this is something completely new than what they've done before. So I'm curious about what your take is on in regards to the new mounting system, because this is one of the things that I felt like was in great need of revamping, right? Because in World, and even in some of the, like in 4U, which was when, not 4U, it was actually in 4, but the first one that I got to play was 4U, because that's the one that came to the West. In 4U, they introduced the mounting system, right, in the West. And that, the first thing that I did was like I started getting used to the insect glaive, and I would try to mount all the time because that thing was exploitable as hell. And then in World, it was also to a large degree kind of like exploitable. It's just then eventually you got more benefits from using the clutch claw instead of the mounting system. That's kind of what offset it. But I do feel that the mounting system was due for a revamp. Now, whether or not that is Wyvern Riding, I like this more, but I'm always curious to hear what others think about it.
Yeah, I'm of two minds of this. So I like elements of Wyvern Riding. I would say, to start on the kind of things that I'm not too much a fan of, the one thing I really don't like is that when you're in the middle of an attack and you get it into the Wyvern Riding state, you're forcibly dragged onto it. That I really hate, because there'll be sometimes, because I get it, maybe they also want to stop you from exploiting it, because for me, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to mount it. I'm going to leave it in that down state and just attack it. That is what I would have ordinarily done. But the fact is, yeah, there'll be sometimes when, you might even be winding up for a big attack and it's like, nope, I'm going to pull you on. And I was like, I didn't really want that. So then when I was playing solo, a lot of the time I'd just get into Wyvern Riding, ram it into the wall twice, throw it on the ground, and then just drop down and just carry on attacking. So I almost ignored the system. I do feel like it's going to have its merits, because as we kind of spoke about, I feel like when we get to Rampage, I think I'm going to love it, because it's going to be like, I'm going to need this. You'll use one monster, knock it into the other one, climb on that monster, knock it into that. So I feel like it'll have a fun system. I do almost wish there was like both existed in like a different capacity. Maybe it was almost like you would have the traditional mounting system, which could then lead into Wyvern Riding. Maybe it would be like, oh, you're mounting and you can either like knock it down, or different inputs could lead to Wyvern Riding. I feel like it would have been kind of cool, because the old mounting system, you're right, I feel like it definitely needed a rework, because it was fundamentally unchanged for, a while. But the fact that we can't do that in any capacity, because I'm interested as well, because now as well, it used to be, all right, you want to mount, you got to be doing aerial attacks, or, certain mount driven, or certain like jumping attacks, right? Whereas like now it's like, well, you don't have to do aerial attacks to proc the Wyvern Riding. You can use silver
attacks.
Yeah, so it's almost like, well, okay, so what is now the best way to build it? So there's definitely an element that I feel is missing. But I feel like until I get to kind of play it for an extended period of time, I'm not entirely sure just yet. But I'm on the fence.
The thing for me is I also am not a huge fan of how it just like forces you into it. I think that could have been solved by simply, instead of you automatically jumping on by attacking it, you would have to sheath your weapon and press A, because that's the way that you can get on it. If your weapon is sheathed, you just go up to it and you press A and you jump on top of the monster. So if they just made that the default way for you to get into Wyvern Riding, and say, for instance, if you're in the middle of a combo, if you do more than 3 or 4 hits, the monster gets out of Wyvern state, like snaps out of it, and you can continue the fight. So you would be able to ignore the Wyvern system if you want to, and you would still be able to use it if you want to use it by simply sheathing your weapon. Because, 4 hits is plenty for you to be able to like, okay, I just need to stop hitting, sheath my weapon, boom, go. I think the only weapon that would potentially have a problem with that is that if you trigger the Wyvern Riding in the middle of a blade dance, which I don't even think you can do that. That would be the only weapon. You could also just have like a damage threshold that if you just continue attacking, you'll snap out of Wyvern Riding. And I feel like that would kind of like bypass the concerns that a lot of people have in regards to Wyvern Riding, because it always seems to be the fact that it is forced that it's the problem, because it breaks the flow of the hunt. Particularly for speedrunners, I think it's going to be a problem. They're going to have to like either trigger one early by using the spider or something like that. No,
okay. I was going to mention speedrunners are already exploiting the living hell out of it, in the fact of that is where you bomb the monster.
Yeah.
So the moment you get the mount, you throw down 2 barrel bombs and you ignite them. You don't get knocked back, because the game says, "Oh, you want to mount? You did an attack." So you get in 2 barrel bombs and you get the mount, and then you can slam them in the wall, knock them down, or do another mount. Like that becomes the fastest way to do it. So I actually think it doesn't hinder speedrunners. It actually is too abusable right now. I think they need to fix that.
The reason I say it hinders it is because different monsters have like different thresholds in the demo. So like, for instance, getting to a rideable state in Mizu takes significantly longer than getting into a rideable state with Rathian. Like Rathian, it'll be the the slam down attack from the gun lance, one of those, boom, you're good to go.
Yeah,
Mizu
I think that's
is
a target monster
lot
versus non-target monster difference.
Okay, that could be a thing. But what I'm saying is like it's gonna vary differing on monster. But yeah, they can predict exactly when it's gonna happen because speedrunners they get like all of their ducks in a row and it's like, okay, at this exact time, this is when I'm gonna trigger the mounted state, and at this point I'm gonna put down my 2 bombs and do the thing. So yeah, but I still think it would be better for it to be optional as opposed to forcing you to do it.
Oh, yeah. Totally agree.
I'll still ride it every time. Like I don't care. Like every single time I get Wyvern riding, I'm riding it, and I'm gonna go and beat the crap out of some other monsters. As a matter of fact, my fastest run, because I'm not a speed runner, but I did try doing the best time that I possibly could on Mizu, which was like sub 10 minutes or something like that with the gun lance. And the opening of my best time is go get a Rathian, beat the crap out of him with Rathian, and then continue the fight.
See, what I want is I want there to be an armor skill that elongates the period in which you can Wyvern ride, because I want to do Mario Kart. I want to start out, we mount 2 monsters, 3 monsters, and we start running, we do a lap around the whole map, and you can stop and try to hit the other guy, but if you miss, you're kind of behind. You can jump over walls and take shortcuts. You can have like a literal race with the monsters. It'd be pretty funny.
That'd be awesome.
I did a video the moment the demo came out. Well, not the moment, but the day after the demo came out, I did a video with a friend of mine because when I first saw Wyvern riding, my first thought was like, are we going to be able to fight other players with this? Like each player gets on their thing. So like the immediate next day, I got a friend of mine. We went in there and we just like did a Monster Hunter fight club. That was so fun. Like, have you guys tried that out at all?
No, not actually like fighting each other's monsters and stuff. We did like a funny video where we did like a troll hunt where it was me trying to hunt just Great Izuchi, and then the rest of the squad were basically there trying to stop me. So basically using bow guns and then mounting and trying to run the monster away. That's gonna be funny though. I feel like that would be where there'll be when you join random lobby, it's gonna be like, oh, this guy just ran away with the monster. Like I just put a trap down. But it's gonna be fun.
I think that's one of the things that I notice more in Rise than like say in World is the little mini games that people instantly come up with. Like I was instantly like, I want to see this thing be almost like a PvP mode with 2 players fighting each other with the monsters. And then the other thing is I want to do the Mario Kart thing because you can speed around with the Palamutes. You can actually do like a race. Someone even did, I think you linked me this, Gaijin, if someone did like an overlay of Super Mario assets on top of it. And the players were like running around the map and you would actually have like place 1 of 4,
First,
2 of
second,
4.
third.
It was so cool. I just love these little mini games that everybody's coming up with for the game.
I got a weird question for you guys, actually. We don't know if there's going to be another demo, but let's put on some tinfoil hats and say that there is. Let's say they do what they've been doing, which is they put out a second demo where you can fight Magnamalo. Will you do it, or will you hold off for the final game? If so, why and why?
Yeah. I need to do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because I definitely can't resist. And I feel like as well because part of the fun will obviously be like farming its armor and farming its weapons anyway. And like, I know he's a flagship monster, so there's an element that I kind of would like to save. But I think to myself, there's also so many other monsters. I mean, there's we fought 3 or 4 in the demo, so I'm like, at most, I'm still gonna have 25 other monsters to like mess around with. So I'm like, I can let that one go. So yeah, I need to do it. I want to see what he's like.
For me, it's a little bit different though. It's like I'm gonna do it because I'm creating content for it. That's the only reason. Like if I wasn't creating Monster Hunter videos and doing all of this Monster Hunter coverage, right? I would not even play the demo. Like not even the first one. I wouldn't play the demo. I wouldn't watch the trailers. I wouldn't do any of that. I would go in completely blind. Because that's how I tend to have the most fun. It's just so much fun going in blind. Because I know that, Gaijin, you're talking about this because of the thing that you said, that you're not going to jump in early because you're going to wait to experience it with Yuna.
My presumptuous self thinks that I might even get the opportunity. I don't know, but I wouldn't take it. I would just say that regardless of any opportunities, whether it's a retail store selling it like a week early because you get those shops that do that, whether it's a review copy that Capcom wants to offer me, I won't take it. Like, I'm going to wait until March 26th to play. And that is primarily because this is going to be Yuna's real first experience, and she wants it to be the best, and she wants to play with the rest of the world. She wants to look forward to release date. She wants to, the event quests when they come, we're not too far in the game. We're going to be happy to get them. We want to take our time and get the armors for all the monsters. So she's got a point, and this is going to be a special moment for her, and I'm not going to mess that one up. We're going to eat it up. It's going to be great. And I'll get all the benefits of watching your guys' content and getting all this feedback from the Japanese community as well. So once I actually go and start making my videos, I'm armed with so much info. People be like, wow. I was like, hindsight is 2020, guys. Like, the more you wait, the more people know. And
yeah, it's true.
So it's a win-win, I think, because I'm not a full-time YouTuber. So it's a win-win for all of us. Yeah,
and you'll have as you say, like, you'll have so much fun with it, because it kind of, that's one thing when it comes to sort of obviously creating content. There's a certain degree, I mean, where sometimes there is that expectancy to, like, I need to do all this content, as quickly as possible, and it kind of throws back to one of the reasons I enjoyed Breath of the Wild so much when I played that, because I'm a huge Zelda fan, and Zelda's always been such an important franchise to me that when Breath of the Wild came out, I was like, I'm going to play it as if I'm not a content creator. I'm just going to play it and enjoy it, and I had so much more fun playing it at that time. Because obviously I was able to, I still recorded things in the background so that later I could make videos. But I basically spent a week just like, if I want to get sidetracked and go and do a side quest and spend all day running and climbing a mountain, I can do it because I'm not like, oh, I'm on the clock. So yeah, so you'll have so much fun because exactly like you touched on your videos, like, there's some early game sets that you'd be like, normally you say, I'm not going to bother making that because I'll replace it in an hour's time. But you might want to craft that. So yeah, it'll be a good experience, and it's going to last us for like, we've got to play this for the next year or so, right? So
yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty hyped. So I was actually thinking that Yuna would be okay with fighting. I was asking her, it's like, what if they have another demo? Because I don't know if you guys know this, but in what was I gonna say? I can't remember now I'm getting mixed up. But in the demo, when they called it like the beginner and intermediate, in Japanese they used like, I think, beginner and advanced. But the fact that English used intermediate opens the door and says there's probably going to be an advanced one, and it kind of got me thinking.
Wait,
I was like, hey,
the Japanese one said advanced?
Yeah, it didn't say intermediate, which was interesting. So I almost feel like the English gave it away, like maybe they're thinking about it. I don't know. But the thing, I mean, they did it with World as well, right? They did 2 demos and they had Nergigante. So I'm just looking at precedents here, and I'm thinking, I was like, are we going to hunt him? She's like, no. I'm like, what? I thought she'd be down for it. She's like, I want us both to be screaming, what the hell was that? Oh my God, what's going on? She's like, I want that in the game. I don't want that before. I was like, okay, I'll respect that. So that's her decision. So we're going to hold off, but I can't wait to see everyone else flinging themselves around the maps and dying if it comes. If it doesn't come, actually, I'd be happy as well because I don't have to feel bad about it. And honestly, we're only like, what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks away? It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a month. It's a month and change. Yeah, it's about 5 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, the hype is like through the roof right now, and the new trailer was awesome.
Just tickles every little box, just like Arekkz was saying. There's every little box of everything that you want. It's like, yep. It's like, thank you. This is like Christmas.
It's so true.
Arekkz, I'm curious. Are you going to be getting the new console? Because I know that you like to collect the little Switch stuff. Are you going to be getting the Rise console at all, or not so much?
I'm actually not for this one because I'm buying the Pro controller. There is that. I did recently get the red Mario Switch, but honestly, they've done it for the past 2. They did it for Generation. They did it for this. I don't feel like, no disrespect to Capcom, but I don't feel like their limited edition console design is like, you look at the dock and they just kind of got the icons around the Switch logo. Like, whereas you look at the Animal Crossing one, it was a complete rework. There's so much they could have done with it. And even on the Joy-Cons, like there's some subtle designs and stuff. And like the back of it's probably the coolest thing. But honestly, as like console designs go, I wasn't too much of a fan of it. So even as a Monster Hunter fan, I'm just like, whereas you go back and look at, say, the Monster Hunter 3DS, that was quite cool, or some of the ones they've done like in the past. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off on this one, and then I'm gonna pray they do like a Zelda Switch later on in the year or something like that.
I actually really, I'm sorry, I actually really like the subtle aesthetics that they put on it, because I like simplistic designs. Like I thought the Animal Crossing one was maybe a little bit too far out there. Just like completely paint the whole thing blue, and the controllers were all they were brown, right? The controllers like light beige or something like that.
So, yeah.
And I was like, I'm not too into that. The subtle ones that it's like it's gray and it's got these gold accents, got Magna Malo. But I think the coolest looking thing is actually the Pro Controller. I think the Pro Controller looks so damn nice.
That one I'm definitely doing because I've so far, because they've kept their Pro Controllers pretty limited. I've so far managed to get all the Pro Controller variations they have. So like that one I can keep in my collection. I was doing the same with Joy-Cons until they started basically releasing Joy-Cons with consoles, and like I can't keep buying a console every time. So that collection has like fallen short, but at least Pro Controllers I can do.
Those are pretty awesome. But yeah, I also really like that one. So out of all the maps that they've announced so far, which one is the theme that you like the most for both of you? It's just like silence.
Definitely Tundra. Like 100% for me. I'm always a snowy map guy. Like any game.
So the Frost Islands?
Whether it be like the Frost Islands for me look so cool. Like I love snow in general. I love like the sort of the ship there, the kind of frozen ship, the sort of underground area. Like it looks like super interesting. So definitely that one. I will say it's interesting because I know yesterday obviously they revealed like Sandy Plains. That's the one like void in my mind. That's the one map that I don't even remember from before. People were like, oh yeah, that's like a returning map. For some reason, I can picture all the other maps, like the other foresty ones, the other snow ones. I've just got this desert void in my head because to me I was like, this looks kind of new, but
well, the deserts have never been that visually strikingly different in the past. Where this one had like ruins, it had like structures. It felt much more evolved than anything we've seen before. So it almost feels like a reimagining of the map than it is a recreation.
Did the original Sandy Plains also have like the ruins and stuff like that?
Not that I could be wrong, but I don't like Arekkz. I don't have any recollection or memory of it. So to me, it feels like a new one. And so when I saw that it was called Sandy Plains, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it's a remake. Okay.
Yeah, because like in my video, I even brought up that I would think that in terms of like lore and whatnot, not that that's super important, but like in terms of lore, it almost connects a little bit to the Flooded Forest because you got these ruins from an ancient civilization, and then in there you have the pyramid and whatnot. It almost seems like they're connected because those two zones are also, in terms of motif. Go ahead.
You see that one sort of sneaky cut they did in the trailer, which made me question myself for a minute because they have from the desert they had that big open sort of like Colosseum looking area. They zipped up, and then the next cutscene was them zipping into the flooded forest. And I was like,
yeah.
If you watch it quickly, you're like, oh, the two are part of the same map. So I was like, wait, is this a new map or are they showing it? And I was like, no, they just did a cheeky cut there.
Cut, yeah.
They did do a cheeky cut, but I feel like thematically the two zones in terms of like aesthetics, they do feel quite similar because like if you go onto the website right now as well, there's like a picture of the Sandy Plains and there's like this big lake on it or some kind of oasis that they have going there, which actually reminds me of the Wildspire Wastes a little bit because you had that section with the water and whatnot, and then you had the section that's more deserty looking like. So I don't remember if the Sandy Plains originally had this or not, like a water type area, because I barely even remember the Sandy Plains at this point.
Yeah. I also like rewatched the trailer. The reflections in this water is ridiculous. When he's fighting the Leviathan guy, like you can see the skybox when the camera's tilted down. When he tilts it up, you can see the mud. Like it's so reflective and so expressive. It's like, wow.
It's just impressive how they were able to squeeze this much graphical prowess out of the Switch. Like the RE engine is like the thing of freaking witchcraft at this point. You got 4 crazy monsters with 4 hunters all in this one map with like the weapons and stuff also going off. It's completely and utterly insane. It's
I'm gonna say my favorite of the maps, even though we haven't seen a lot of it, is the lava caverns. One, because I always love the volcano maps because it represents like a goal in the game. Like when you hit the volcano, you're like, now I can mine the good ores, like now I can get the good shit. So it's like, it feels good. The monsters are tough. And the contrast of the blue, cool water, like they've got the spring water and then they've got the really vibrant red magma that's coming down from the walls and everything. It creates such a colorful atmosphere that I think it reminds me of like, it's like you can only look at the old Shrines map. So I love the map a lot, but it's like it is kind of a similar palette, especially at nighttime. You get the darks and the greens. This thing is just like Fruity Loops. It's totally colored. It's like, I love it. So everything pops, and I'm just gonna adore being in there. That, and did you see that little screenshot that they had of like the it almost looked like a Leviathan version of Valhazak on the ceiling of the lava caverns on the website? It shows a bone structure, and it's got like the double mouth where it's like a mouth inside of a mouth, and it looks almost like Mizutsune. It looks like a big serpent, and it's got like a large body, like a long snake.
Ooh.
I'm actually looking at.
And I want to know
right
what that
now.
monster is.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. I had not seen this before. This is pretty crazy looking.
It's
Have you seen
amazing.
this?
Arekkz, you got to go check this out. It's the lava cavern. It's the second picture. Oh man. And now we can explore the place without cold drinks. Probably that's going to be even better. Come on. But they have to have the little thieving bastards in the map. It's like tradition. They got to have the Melanics in the volcano, because everyone's going there to mine the ores and collect the bones, and you got to have little cats thieving from you when you're doing it.
Oh yeah, I see that picture now. That's super cool. Ooh.
Ain't it? And you see the bones in the background. It's almost like it's a long serpent, and that's its body or something. I don't know. But this whole area, the whole like cool area with like the water, then the hot area with the magma, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm also praying that Ignactor comes back. It's one of my favorites. I've mentioned it before on our podcast.
Yeah, it's a really cool monster.
I really want that monster back. And if this is a cavern, it's like, come on. It's just begging to be brought back.
True.
Give me just 1 minute, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Sure, no worries.
I say, Arekkz, it's great talking to you. It's been a while since we've gotten to. I think the last time we got to talk face to face, you were over here in Tokyo, and we went out for dinner.
Yeah, I think I can't believe this. It's annoying because I was supposed to visit again last year, but obviously things got locked down as well. So yeah, it's been such a long time, man. But it's it's great to catch up. I'm hoping as well. Like, I mean, I'm not making any actual plans, but I'm sort of just like loosely hoping that if the world gets some normality, then the very end of this year, I'm going to try and get out to Japan again.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, there's a restaurant here in Tokyo where you can go, where you fish out you can either order it off the menu, or you can fish out your. Oh yeah,
we went to that one, right?
You can fish out. Yeah, you can fish out your food, and then it's a little bit cheaper. So you were like, I'm going for the big boy, and you were like, you were hunting like this huge fish. And Yuna was sitting there with the net, and she was like prepping it, and like you caught it, and you hit the ceiling with it, I think.
Yeah.
You being the god of war.
The line broke at the first, like at one point. I think we had to get we need to go back to that place, because that place was so cool.
So they had some co-op action going on there, and they caught the fish. But Yuna wanted me to say hi to you as well, because she remembers you well.
Ah, awesome! Say hi as well for me.
Yeah, she's in her room. Playing games, probably saying, when is he getting out the podcast? I want to play some more Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, that must have been fun though. Like, just you kind of like dive back into sort of experience Iceborn like in co-op as well.
Yeah, so I got to see everyone's complaints. Like, I understood all the bad points, but also it's just fun. When it does work, man, is it fun?
Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like, this once you get past all like the sort of janky cutscenes and stuff, and being able to like loop that again, it's just. And being able to enjoy it in co-op as well. Like that is ultimately. I mean, I know there's plenty of fun to be had in Monster Hunter Solo, but like I've always personally enjoyed like hunting with with people as well. So it's that's gonna be fun.
So here's a story that nobody knows, but this is a fun one. But when I was playing through my very first playthrough of Monster Hunter World, the first wall that I hit was Nergigante, and it was Arekkz who came to my help to help me get through it. And we did some duo play on that one. And we
duoed that. What was it? You were Lance. I think what was I using? Yeah. For that one? Was I Charge Blade for that one? I think so. Yeah, I think. That was good.
Good memories.
You were maining Charge Blade during Monster Hunter World, weren't you? For most of the time, at least. Yeah,
because I went from because in 4U Charge Blade was my main.
You're as bad as me with the Insect Glaive. You can't stop touching it.
It's the thing baby. Is like Charge Blade is just so like I mean, I think also because like Charge Blade is just like a big sword and shield, right? So it's just like more of what I like, and then it's just like, well, I mean, it's got guard points. If things get dangerous, I can kind of just hide. And then but then like I've moved around like so many times, but I still ultimately always end up coming back to either Charge Blade or Sword and Shield.
Yeah, it's friggin' fantastic. I actually I remember when Extremoth came out. I think that I was in your cruise's first kill Like it was 269, Paradise, and somebody else.
Mm.
I think I was in their first kill of Extremoth. I'm not sure if you killed it before
nice.
they did or if you killed them killed it afterwards.
Mm. I can't remember actually. I think it might have been. I think it might have been after actually, because I think because that was when it sort of like it would come out super late, and I'd always try it first because I'd always try and kind of jump on it quickly, and then I'd be like, this is taking a long time. I need to sleep.
Yeah.
Then I think they streamed it, so I think I then did it after. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, like I remember streaming that, and like Extremoth was such a crazy time because you really had to employ basically raid tactics from previous games. Like I even remember telling people that were playing with me, listen, if you get targeted by Charybdis, look at your feet and like go to the edge of the map because this is friggin' insane. Like ain't nobody dealing with all these hurricanes. That was like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it was interesting because obviously it was adding new mechanics that had never been in Monster Hunter before in that capacity. I loved what they did with it because obviously they respected the origins of Final Fantasy with it. Yeah. But I kind of like how they sort of they took some of that but then evolved it slightly with things like Safi and stuff, so it wasn't quite as pronounced. But yeah, there's definitely like cool elements with that. It'll be interesting to see whether they use any of that in Rise with like some of the later monsters and stuff.
I'm actually curious, now that you brought up Safi, how did you feel about the systems that they did with Kulve Taroth and Safi Jiva with the random weapons and stuff like that? Like, what's your take on all that? Do you like that? Do you prefer the more traditional, kill fire monster, get fire sword, or like, let's hunt this monster a million times over and get like the random loot? Because I know that you're also really into stuff like Destiny and Borderlands and looter shooters. And I feel like those types of monsters are more appealing to the type of player that plays more looter shooters. So, like, I also love looter shooters, but when it comes to Monster Hunter, I like to keep the RNG a little bit on the lower end of the scale. But it's very interesting to hear from someone like you that plays a lot more looter shooters than even I tend to.
No, I definitely still agree with you. I would still 100% always rather fight X thing to get X weapon. Like I prefer that. There are elements where I enjoy like certain degrees of randomness. Like sometimes, although even as someone that plays a lot of looters, like I think I've gotten so fed up of just like I've grinded this thing for 50 times or like 500 times and I still haven't got it, or I've got another stinking like rubbish gun again. So I definitely. I liked what I liked was going from Kulve Taroth was kind of annoying because I, for example, in all the hunts, like hundreds of hunts against Kulve, I still never got the paralysis sword and shield that I wanted. Meanwhile, at least I knew that when you played Safi Jiva, if when you finish the quest, if you're holding that weapon, you're guaranteed to at least get one or two of that type of weapon. So at least like within my first, I say like 5 Safi hunts, I got a paralysis sword and shield. So I liked it. Still wasn't a perfect system, but if you compare the two, I would 100% take Safi over Kulve any day because at least it was somewhat more targeted. And then obviously being able to like roll within lists of like moves, it felt like Safi was attainable in that, like, if I do this enough times, I'll definitely get what I want. Whereas Kulve is like, I could never ever get what I want. So I would definitely much rather the bulk of the game be do X thing, get X result. But I wouldn't mind if there was like a small degree, maybe if it was sort of like within a limited pool. I think if you compare, say, like, you look at, say, 4 Ultimate with relic weapons, that was just an insane pool of just like crazy potential. And some of the weapons were nuts, but you may never get them. Whereas if it was like a more limited pool like Safi, where there was like only every single weapon rolls with the same base, so it's like there's only so many permutations you can have, then that element of randomness obviously kind of goes quite nicely. I mean, that would potentially suit quite well if you look at the Rampage system, maybe because an element of randomness kind of keeps you coming back. So yeah, I feel like there's a balance.
I would have liked it if they allowed the weapon element to be part of, like, how you used to roll for the Safi bonuses, like you had the 5 bonuses. It would have been nice if you were also able to roll and re-roll the attributes. Like it was high raw, high affinity, low affinity, high raw, thunder high, raw low, thunder high, low, raw high. Like have a bunch of different permutations, and you can spend the same currency to re-roll those. That'd be pretty fun as well.
That would have been cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that when you turn the knob a little bit too much in the RNG direction, I also
the desire sensor's gonna get you.
Yeah, like the first time that Kulve came around, like for 2 weeks, I did nothing but hunt Kulve in order to get the first white shelling level 4 gun lance, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, I got to the point where I'm like,
Never
I'm
again.
really burning out on this. This is really bad.
Yes, 100%. Like Kulv did get quite, because the thing is as well, it's not like, you know, at least if you're trying to say like, oh, you know what, I want to farm, I don't know, this Rathalos thing. You know, you fight it a few times, you start to get to the point where you start to get your time down pretty quickly. Whereas Kulv was pretty much a long fight each time anyway, right? So it's like, here we go again. Let me fight for like 20-30 minutes. Oh no, I haven't got what I want again. Like, you know, you get 3 of those in an hour, whereas at least if you're farming for like, I don't know, a Rathalos Ruby, you get like 10-15 hunts in an hour if you're like super efficient, right? So there was definitely that element. I think it was exacerbated in World as well, because obviously you had RNG for decorations, then we suddenly had RNG for these weapons. That's why, I mean, 100%, like you guys said earlier, like I really want craftable decorations back, because I would much rather, I'll happily, you know, much like in the olden games, I would much rather craft all my decos and just pursue a random charm, because at least that's one thing, just one thing. Whereas like this was, I mean, there were so many times where, you know, we did the series like Mix Set Monday throughout like World and Iceborn, where we like feature community mix sets, and there were so many times where someone's like, here's my set and I need to go and make it. I'm like, well, I don't have any of these decorations, so it was just...
You know what? If they're bringing back craftable decorations, and like you know how the skill is themed off of the materials of the monster that you hunt to get that, like evasion, you'd hunt Lagombies and stuff like that. That could explain, you know, if they're getting rid of like really bad skills that just ruin the player experience. Maybe that's why they're not going to add Glavenus to the game. It makes sense.
Ooh, no. I was not prepared for that.
I keep taking cheap shots.
I was not right. I don't have my Mister Snake comeback because I did not see that one coming. I thought this was a serious discussion. You caught me off guard with that one. Oh no!
I'll tell you what though. One of the biggest disappointments in World was looking at Glavenus and Brachydios weapons, certain permutations of them, like particularly the gun lance. Good God!
I need to say something that is going to make you so happy, my friend.
Go for it.
So I noticed something very exciting in the screenshots that they released today. I'm going to put this in chat in case you haven't seen it. But there is a screenshot of a Tigrex insect glaive. Now, in case you didn't know, Tigrex did not have an insect glaive before Iceborn. It's the one weapon I think that never got one. They added it in Iceborn, and the design for Iceborn 1 was horrific. It was a slap-on design. They now went through and made a fully creatively designed insect glaive, even though there was already a slap-on design in World. So what it tells me is that if they have an existing monster from previous games that's not a new World monster, if it got a slap-on design, they're not going to go back to that, because it would stand out then against all the other weapons, right? It wouldn't look as unique. So this shows me that they've now opened the door for, if Brachydios comes back, there's no ruling here now that says that it has to use the stupid KFC drumsticks.
Dude,
we could actually have... I mean, look at this thing. It looks gorgeous.
So cool.
And that...
I love the claw at the end
and the
of it.
design
So
from World was just like... I took... Hang on a second.
It was a bits on sticks weapon, 100%.
Yeah.
There we go. There's what it looks like in Iceborn.
Yeah.
So they're willing to go back and change it, and that excites me more than anything I saw today. This really excited me.
No, that is really cool. Yeah, I mean, because I feel like, especially in Iceborn, like I feel like a lot of the insect glaives kind of got the short end of the stick, because there were a few really cool ones, but I felt like
Short
many
end
glaives.
of the stick.
Hey, there we go. I feel like there were so many glaives that were like, you know, it just did look like a little part at the top and the bottom, whereas at least some of the slap-on designs you could be like, that kind of makes sense, but I still think as a joke they kind of need to bring back the chicken drumsticks just as like an extra weapon. Just like
you should. They can bring it back as a layered weapon, right? It would be a funny joke.
Oh yes.
No, listen.
And they can call it the unfortunate drumsticks or something.
Listen, you know how Marvel's Avengers had all of these different like sponsorships and stuff. They had the Verizon sets and all of this other stuff. They need to get like and Rise they need to get like a sponsorship with KFC just for shits and giggles and, and bring the drums, and they would actually be pieces of fried chicken.
Oh no! Or imagine if in the Rampage mode when you win you get rewards, but if you do really badly they just give you like drumsticks.
Your weapon has been you got cursed. Your weapon has now turned into a slap-on design. Please hunt 3 more times to fix.
It's true. Or what they should do to really make people appreciate it. Back in Freedom Second and Freedom Unite, you would get. I guess they were also like the later games, but like that was my first encounter. You would get like the rusted weapons, which a lot of the time would look pretty bad, but if you polish them up occasionally there was like an RNG chance it could turn into like the best dual blades in the game. They should make it so you get the chicken drumsticks, right? And then you have to like do a really long quest, and then they become the best dual blades.
They could be like the new the Kelby bow. It'd be like Blast 800 dual blades or something.
But you don't get it until you've completed every quest in the game, so you have to use them.
But they can do a sponsorship, like Ruri was saying. You can do like the spicy chicken at KFC. They can have the spicy ones, and they get Blast or something.
Oh no!
Nice. Well, you can apply. You can have a KFC chicken drumstick for a certain shield. You can bring back the oils and call them like seasonings.
Yes. Please. I wish they brought back oils though. I really do, because like oils was one of the greatest things. But that would be amazing.
All I know is if they bring back oils and they bring back the busted Kinsects from Generations, where like the Kinsects gave you like 30% infinity, I'm gonna be laughing online for a week. I'd be like, you know what? You don't like it? Don't play it. I'll play all the Insect Glaive.
That's the thing, because imagine if you had oils paired with Perfect Rush, you would quite literally have the most powerful weapon in the game.
Jesus Christ!
Especially if you had like Chaos. You remember Chaos Oil from GU? Where you applied all of them. Chaos Oil, Perfect Rush. Ooh.
I actually remember I used to use Chaos Oil and Mind's Eye Oil just to sharpen my weapon. It's like, who needs whetstones? I'll sharpen my weapon with Chaos Oil. It was so good. But another really cool thing in that picture is that we get to see the Tobikadachi Gunlance, which has the world design, which was actually amazing. And that great sword from Somnicanth is like a big dorsal fin. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Also, look at the bow in the background. Is that a Tigrex bow? I don't know.
I think it's Magnum Arlo because you got the purple string. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah.
It's Magnum Arlo. Yeah, that's cool.
That
Such
is
a good shot.
That is really badass. That's a really good screenshot indeed. So
whoever at Capcom, like I would say World and Iceborn, the same thing. Whoever is doing all the screenshots deserves a damn raise, because they are all so, like, the screenshots they used for the event quest for World and Iceborn were so artistic and so cool. I'm like, whoever's doing this is awesome. I just love them.
I wanted to take us back into Iceborn a little bit, specifically to talk about one of the things that me and Gaijin always bring up. I probably should have brought this up during the skills discussion, but what was your take on the Fatalis set, Arekkz?
You know what? I was actually fine with it, because I feel like once you've been through everything in the game, right? Similar thing to like Atalkar, right? So once you've been through everything, like I don't mind having a set that is so damn broken that I can do, because the thing is, World as well, World and Iceborn, you've been through like a lot of stuff, you farm tons of decorations. By the time most people get to Fatalis, unless you've like just started a new game and you've golden lined it, by that time you're probably full of hundreds of decorations, hundreds of tons of different armor sets. So I feel like at that point it's literally like there's nothing more for you to do. There is nothing more challenging. Yeah, so now we're giving you the best set. You can do insane amounts of skills in it, and now just go and have some fun and go and wreck everything else that you fought before. So honestly, I'm cool with it. Had they given it to us, say, 3 or 4 monsters before, and then everything they gave us afterwards became a walk in the park, then I'd be like, that was a bit weird, because it was kind of like when we got given the Draken set, the Final Fantasy one for a while.
It
was like
way too good.
Yeah, it was just like, if you're not using Draken, what are you doing? But now I just feel like it's kind of like the sort of a celebration, like I've done everything and this is what I have to show for it.
Yeah. So I mean, the game, they tuned it in the way that if you didn't engage all the systems, you're going to have a hard time beating it. So like you said, by the time you beat it, there's nothing in that game is going to give you a challenge.
I just the main reason why I still disagree with this is because of the way in which these sets were implemented, which was like Safi set, one of the best sets. Before Safi was like 3-piece Teostra and something else for like most weapons, with the exception. Then there was also Raging Bracky after Safi, but it was like you always had this thing where the next DLC that we bring up, it's like this is the best set, and now this next DLC, this is now the best. The one that wasn't like that, I feel like it was Alatreon. Alatreon was actually one of the better ones because it wasn't just this overtakes Safi and it overtakes Raging Bracky. It was more like, this has a couple of neat things that you can do with it. And that is kind of like the direction that I wish they went in more, which is kind of like sets that give you more horizontal progression as opposed to just like, no, this is just straight up more powerful. Like by the time you beat Fatalis and you get his set, it's like every single other set for 99% of the builds that you do is 4-piece Fatalis and 1-piece something else, or even 5-piece Fatalis. That's kind of like
Yeah.
the
So,
problem
I
that
mean,
I had with it.
I think I would agree with you. I don't like the fundamentals of the power creep that they did, but in the context that they went ahead and they did that, then I think the Fatalis set works because it has that history of power creep and of forcing you to do so much in the game that by the time you did get to Fatalis, it's like, yeah, that would be the right way to top it off. But if we can go back and say I don't want that for anything, then yeah, then I don't think power creep would have been ideal.
I think also to kind of echo that and kind of links in with the sort of conversation we had earlier with the skill stuff is that maybe that will be the angle where, like, you know, we haven't had it confirmed, but kind of the sort of suggestions could well hint that if they're not kind of going towards a set bonus thing, at least with that, because you think back to, you know, any of the previous Monster Hunter games that had the 10-point system, the nice thing was, you know, you're like, you have a concept in your head, you're like, all right, I want, you know, attack boost, critical eye, and you're like, all right, there's 10 different armor sets that could all give me these points.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so, and that I always liked, because I remember, like, in 4 Ultimate, I was like, there was just a particular armor piece that I just liked, and I was like, I'm going to make this work no matter what. Like, it was one of the, I can't remember what it was, but it was a particular helmet. I was like, I'm just going to, no matter what, I'm going to make this work. And because it had a point that I needed anyway, it wasn't the kind of the recommended one that, like, most people were using, but I was able to get the exact same skills just by mixing and matching different pieces. Whereas obviously in, you know, and there's a degree of that you can do in World. You can be like, all right, cool, you know what, there are some other pieces that have got an attack boost, but it's like, well, if I'm going to roll this, it makes more sense to have this with the set bonus because it's going to give me this. So it did kind of stifle the choices a little bit more. So if they do potentially remove the need for, like, chasing set bonuses, then at least it means that even some of those, like, earlier game armor sets, you know, you might be like, actually there might be value in, like, an Azeroth Waste because it's just got this useful point. So I would like that because I feel like there were so many more, because you know, again, like, I would kind of talk about the mix set series we used to do. Like, it got to the point where, you know, I'd always do it in seasons because after a while everyone's submissions would just be permutations of the same set. Whereas at least when it was for Ultimate and I used to do that series, it would be like every week is like, this is wildly different. So I would like that variety.
Yeah, I love the idea that, like, you would, I guess for the West it was Athena's ASS. Athena's skill simulator. In Japan it's called Gansumu. But there was, when you put in, like, okay, I want this set, you'd get like 20 different variations. And some of them had, like, really shitty elemental weaknesses, but they were easy to make. Some of them had really good defense, but, like, it was really weak in fire. And you're like, but I like to fight the fire monster. So you had so many choices of how you wanted to go about it. And you end up making, like, a few of them. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's the one of the reasons why I always bring this up, which is the whole thing about, you know, it's the Fatalis set. Because even now, if I go back to Jew and I get like, okay, I want to do a set around this thing, like, I'll go to Athena's ASS and just be like, hey, you know, find me a couple of things, and I'll usually be crafting stuff. Like, I can jump in GU and go craft something right now, whereas if I go jump in World, there's nothing for me to craft because Fatalis is just the best for everything. That's kind of like
I want to see them. They won't do it, but I want to see them integrate something like these tools, these armor skill simulators. I want to see that integrated in the game. I want you to go to the armory and say, I want level 3 Divine Blessing, level 3 attack, and level 2 this. And it tells you, given your current progression and what you can craft at the shop, these are your choices. And then you can start wish listing stuff and you can make it.
Wouldn't that be a dream?
Cool.
I know, right? That's wishful thinking. I don't think they'll do it, but they should.
Yeah, at least we got marginally closer to that, because at least the nice thing was that in World you could at least search, like, armor sets by skill, which kind of gave you a degree of that. It still wasn't the same, but as you say, like, if you combine that with the wishlist system, that would be that'd be amazing.
Yep. So, gentlemen, we're coming up on 2 hours. I know that Gaijin, you need to go hang out with your daughter, so I don't want to keep you too long. So I figured I would very much just like to thank you, Arekkz, for joining us. You were very flexible with the times. It's very hard to organize this between Portugal, Japan. Luckily, UK is the same time zone as Portugal, so at least there we're pretty much set.
True. Thank you so
Arekkz,
much.
I just want to say, like, thanks for always just being a good friend, but also being an inspiration. Like, your videos on weight loss and fitness has been something I've been binge watching and trying to, because I'm struggling with trying to get my health back. So I love that content. So keep that up.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate that. And I say, I mean, if ever you have any questions, by all means, hit me up as well. But yeah, thank you guys for having me as well. It's been a blast. Nice to sort of catch up. Nice to sort of chat more about this, and hopefully we can hunt together and chat more in when Rise comes out as well.
Yeah, because my secret plan finally came to fruition, because I only started this podcast to get these two together. Now I can just, like, fuse them together, and I'll just leave the podcast, and I'll just be a viewer along everybody else. That was the whole plan all along.
No, you are the mastermind. You're the mastermind. You are the foundation of this here fleet.
Well, thank you very much, guys. As per usual, there's going to be links to everything in the description, so make sure to check out Arekkz's stuff. You're probably already subscribed to Arekkz if you're watching this to begin with. Make sure to check out Gaijin Hunter as well. All the stuff is going to be in the description of the video and on the podcasting websites around the world. Because in case you didn't know, Arekkz, this also goes to like Spotify, like everywhere. This goes everywhere. We're like global. Yeah. It's insane.
I'm gonna drop a Spotify review then. Give it a 5 stars.
I like the podcast, but there was some guy on there talking about that Glavinus was cool, so I gotta give it a downvote. It's like,
whoa! Excuse me. They might have to put the quality filter. They might remove the podcast because we've got too much Mizutsune action. You know, there's a certain quality bar that Spotify needs to meet. You see. This was a good podcast until we started speaking about Mizutsune, you see, and then just suddenly the podcast went. Sorry, guys.
There is one thing that I got to bring up that really annoyed me at one point, which is I used to have this software, Arekkz. This one's because of you. I used to have this software that would tell me the commonly used tags for YouTube videos. And every single time that I would put up a new Monster Hunter video and I would type in the tags Monster Hunter, the very next tag that it would suggest would be like Arekkz Gaming. And I'm just like, God!
I'm sorry.
That's like the cheat. If you guys
at one point
start
I was
tagging
thinking,
your videos with Arekkz, profit.
At one point I was just thinking, you know what? I'm just going to start using this tag. I didn't.
Hey, you gotta play the game. You gotta play the game. This is what YouTube is about. You gotta just play the game, man.
Oh, it's awesome. But guys, that is going to be it. We hope you guys enjoyed this very special episode of the Third Fleet podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, hit the dislike button. Feedback is important. And subscribe, bell notification, all that jazz. And we'll see you guys in the next one. I think I already said that. I'm just too hyped up. Peace out.
Yeah. Peace out.
See you later.